Hey, Shalom Israel, this is a public service announcement to all the sisters out there. Y'all already know what time it is. Them Passover corsages is blooming absolutely right this year. If you a married sister, rock that red corsage. And for all the single sisters out there, the white corsage was made just for you. Stop playing. You cannot be Passover ready without rocking one of these. Just $10 to complete that fit for the Lord's 54th annual Passover. Pre-order yours now. Click the link below for more info. For just $10, I got a feeling that this is just the right batch of flowers to have you looking on point and official. Sisters, make it your business to get you one, and we hope to see you there. Shalom Israel.
So I spit juju, I change the whole thing. Taking my style, I'm far from a language, just let me put it down, baby. She on the road, can get around in my coupe, me and you, we just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make you mine, please? Tell me be you, and we can try. So I spit juju, I change the whole thing. Taking my style, I'm far from a language, just let me put it.
If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood I lay my life down right now for all my sisters and brothers, because I love them. I see them, dap them and hug them. It's amazing to see how well we adapt from the struggle. Born again from a life of sin, trapped in the gutter. My mind frame was to kill my own kind. Feeling inferior, waking up ready to die. Run with them killers, so it's just a matter of time. For why take your life or let you take mine? That's when I realized the slaves killing slaves while the white man live to get old. We in them graves, the shit got me feeling plain. I opened the Bible, went through them records, found out we was royalty, a nation to be respected. But in this world we rejected, we hated for our complex. Still fighting to get accepted. We hear the truth and reject it, but love is getting corrected. And all my niggas correct me. The commandments, the foundation we erected. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Hey, hey. Hey, hey.
Shalom Israel, and when I mean Israel, I'm talking about the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. The Lord's 54th annual Passover is going down again this year, sundown, April 1st at 500 South Salisbury Street in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Conventional Center. It's got enough room for all of us. The Lord's 54th annual Passover. Last year, brothers and sisters showed up from all over the world, rocking ancient garments and glorious apparel in order to serve the Most High in Christ. Now, it's that time again. Commander General YAHANNA is putting out the decree for all brothers and sisters to show up sundown, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us at the Sheridan in Raleigh, the hotel right downtown. It's at 421 South Salisbury. The Passover is right up the block at the Convention Center, literally within walking distance. Make sure you pull up. Make sure that you do your due diligence, because rooms are going fast and they are limited this weekend. You understand? We have months in advance of preparation. Do not wait till the last minute to get your room. The Lord's 54th annual Passover, Saturday, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us there.
It's about time, sending curses to them enemies.
Oh yeah, it's going down. Join us for this year's All Black Party, hosted by Commanding General YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K. This year, it's going down in Durham, North Carolina at the Durham Armory. Last year, brothers and sisters came out from all over the world. It was a packed house to celebrate the 2022 Hebrew Academy graduates. These brothers faced life and death, and as a result, they were honored on this night for their sacrifice and their victory at the gauntlet. But wait, this year it's going down. There will be a Hebrew concert featuring Captain Akkad, 144 the Rebel, King Ty, Captain Ty Ward, One Westworld, Lost Tribes, Captain Katazar, I.S.U.P.K, also known as Dope E, and Officer Natazar, U.P.K. Natazar, and much more. It's going to be an open bar. Make sure that you get your tickets. It's going down this year, 2023, the 54th annual Passover and the annual All Black Party, hosted by Commanding General YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K.
Still blessed and still we rise.
I.S.U.P.K presents the 54th annual Feast of Unleavened Bread. Last year we did it big. This year is going to be way big. More brotherhood, more sisterhood, more U.P.K. On Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. We're going to be at 421 South Salisbury Street in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Sheraton Raleigh Hotel Ballroom. We call it all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come join us.
All right, we're live, son.
All right, that's it. We up. All right, I'm sorry, let's clap it up. Yeah, what's in trouble? Come your house, your mouth up, but show me outside. Scripture breakdown for DC, I.S.U.P.K scripture breakdown in DC. Tonight, you're definitely going to get into some of the Black history. Going to try to answer all your questions as much as possible. Type them in. If you want to be on the StreamYard. And of course, you're a student in the school or trooper, officer, sister, brother, sister. You could just request the link. The brother on the computer would send it to your Facebook or something. You find some way to get it to you. And you could be on and ask your questions directly. I believe there's a call-in number to be set up. Should be up shortly as well. You're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Just type your questions in and we're going to get to them. All right. I believe we're good. Make sure you put your phones on vibrate. At least vibrate. Okay, so what we have? Any questions in the room so far, or?
Counselor, I have a question.
Please.
So, like people who are who look up like what the 501c3 is about and whatnot. And they say it was a way that the government uses to control, like Black churches and whatnot, or whatever type of organization that files for that. And then they say, the school has a 501c3, and they're saying that, well, we're under the control of the American government,
right?
But how can we combat that? Because what I say is we still say the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and the Most High is going to destroy America.
No sweat. Listen, this is where you're gonna have to start with, right? And this is really this. I already know the viewership going to drop by half after I say this. What I'm about to say right here, but I don't care. All right. This is what you have to understand when you're dealing with Israel and the world. They're very stupid. Most of the people you come across are absolute idiots. At one time, they voted for Kennedy. At one time, they voted for Clinton. You know, Bill Clinton was a black man. He a nigga, man. He smoking weed. He like jazz. The same people who coming up to you are absolute idiots. They're stupid like the back of a spoon, like the inside of this cup. They're about this dumb. You got to understand that. That's the first part. So you're not combating nothing that they say. Because what they say 90% of the time is not true. The other 10% of the time is something that, no, 90% of the time is not true. And it's something they heard somebody else say. The other 10% of the time, it's still not true, but they've read it and have zero understanding what the hell they're talking about. So let's pull up 501c3. Just pull up the code, what is it called? The classification, the IRS classification, 501c3, and let's see what it is. All right. If anybody else have any questions, you'll type them in. We're gonna get them in. All right. That's the first thing I would do. I would ask them to pull up the 501c3 and just, you know, say what is we talking about.
Okay.
Go ahead, please read it.
This is from the IRS.gov. It says exempt purposes, Internal Revenue Code section 501c3.
Yeah.
The exempt purposes set forth.
So it's exempt purposes, right? You can then read definition for that. I'm doing it in an exhaustive way. So even people who listening, who don't even know, there's some people who don't even know what the hell a 501c3 is, right? So for those who might be listening who don't know and they are interested in the answer, I'm just going to be real exhaustive with it for that purpose, all right? So what is it? Exempt what?
The exempt purposes.
Right, exempt purposes. Exempt from what?
Set forth in section 501c3 are charitable, religious, educational, scientific.
That's the organizations or the purposes that would be exempt. Whether it's religious, charitable, what? Educational, scientific. That's for research. Go ahead. Literary, or doing the arts and poetry and writing, you know, stuff like that. Go ahead.
Testing for public
safety. Right. If you notice the trend with everything has some sort of impact on society, on a specific community or the general public. If you look at the whole theme of everything, these are things that impact the general public in one way or the other, collectively, quote unquote, in a positive way, in a progressive way. Let's put it like that. Not, you know, your society getting more degenerate, right? That's the purpose of this classification. That's these groups that they put into these classifications, right? Any more?
Fostering national or international amateur sports competition, and preventing cruelty to children or animals.
Right. For the sports, in fostering international or national competition with sports, which does what? Take young people off the street and give them something to, you know, fight for and adhere to and commit their life, and they learn how to go to, you know, commit to something that's difficult, or to stop people from harming, you know, abusing children or animals. Right, which is again a degenerate, recessive, you know, backward type of situation. And why don't you just? What is that, brother? What's that? What is it? I get you. So why don't you put it closer and monitor it from your phone like you did it before? Remember you did it before like that?
No, I didn't do it like that.
Okay, no sweat. Well, it looked like it's gonna keep falling on that thing. No sweat. Or set it up on something else, some other situation to do it, because it'll keep falling.
Okay.
So so those are categories, right? And those categories fall under some exempt status, right? But exempt from what? That's what I want to know. Exempt from what exactly?
You want me to keep reading, sir?
Does it say it there?
That's it for the purposes. The purposes. So it goes into the term charitable is used in a generally accepted legal sense and includes relief of the poor, the distressed, or underprivileged.
Right. So they're going to explain each group. But okay, for somebody who is you want to pull that and ask them, okay, so it says exempt purposes or these exempt groups. These groups are exempt for the purposes of these groups. Their purpose, they fall into an exempt category. Exempt from what?
Taxes.
Thank you. They're exempt from taxes, right? That 501c3, it's a non-profitable status or category or group. It's a non-profit. You're under the non-profit umbrella, meaning whatever money you receive, right? Whether it comes in the forms of donations, you don't pay income tax on that money. What's the average income tax rate for a business? Just pick a state and look it up. Just look it up real quick. You're in here. Just look it up real quick. Pick any state and pull the income, not income tax, because income tax is per person. Whatever is that business tax, that they tax a business. It would be income tax because it's income or profitable tax or whatever. But I want to know what's the rate. Go ahead.
Okay, so it says corporate income tax for Virginia.
Corporate tax. Go ahead.
It's 6%, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The national average is 6.75%.
Right, that's 6.75%. Right, so they'll take that. They'll take that as their income. It's usually more though. I think it's usually more, right? Which one is like 20 or 30%?
Shit, what's the name of it?
One of them is
capital gains.
Go ahead.
I mean, I gotta reset that up. It's freezing in that spot.
That's fine now. This one, you do your thing, right? Okay, let's go with 6% for now. But there's higher tax, taxes that businesses pay, and they do the whole deductions with the losses and properties they may have purchased or whatever any business name to bring their tax bracket or group down, so they pay less taxes. The 501c3 makes you exempt from the taxes, so that extra money that would go to the government normally, and the government would use it to do what? Pave the roads, pay the people to come pick your trash up, give you damn WIC and TANF and food stamps when you go to the social services lines. That's what the government would do with your tax money. A religious organization, educational organization, some sports academy, something could file for the status, and all the money or incoming money, not necessarily income from selling, but whatever you get, the government allows you to keep that taxable portion, keep all of it, and not have to pay taxes on it, provided that money goes back to the community that you serve. You understand? That's it. Now let's read some more. I want to read some more, because they say in order to have a 501c3 status, you somehow have to put a zipper on your mouth. So I want to see where that zipper is in there.
The term charitable is used in its generally accepted legal sense and includes relief for the poor, the distressed, or the underprivileged, advancement of religion, advancement of education or science, erecting or maintaining public buildings, monuments, or works, lessening the burdens of government, lessening neighborhood tensions, eliminating prejudice and discrimination, defending human and civil rights secured by law, and combating community deterioration and juvenile delinquency.
See, that's you know what you would use the funds for, because other than that, your state senator or your councilman or your state representative, they'll be the ones who are in charge of governing that particular district or county or ward, and they would be the ones deciding where that tax money gets spent. The 501c3 allows you to legally, under America's system, govern yourself. You understand? They allow you to legally govern yourself in terms of whatever funding and, you know, doing operations and being able to access food banks and being able to access certain buildings and being able to do things where now you don't have to rely on the government for something. Your religious leaders supposed to be able to find you housing and pay for it and give you vouchers and pay your bills and buy your food, emergency relief, and do that whole thing. And in doing that, just like when you go to social services, what do they ask you for? If you go into social services and ask for help, your income, your last set of wages, fill out this form and let me know what your expenses are, your rent, your bills, your this, your that. Could bring in the last electric bill, this bill. They want to see it because they're about to give you money and they need to know where the money is going. And it's the same thing. If you've been in the UPK long enough, you fall on some hard times, you go to your camp leader or the captain in front of your area or the general in front of your area, and you let them know what's going on, and they do what? How long you been slaving? How long since you've been off the slave? Okay, no sweat, brother. Are all your bills up to date? Okay, what bills is due? Okay, send me that. Let me see what's going on. All right, here, I'm sending you some cash. What's the next thing that comes out of the mouth? Send me your receipts. You're looking at me dumb like I ain't never tell you all that shit. How many times?
Every time.
All the time. I don't care if you're going to buy soda. Send me the receipt. Why? Why do I need the receipt?
To prove where that money went.
So I have an account over years, over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, however long, 2 months of where that money that I'm getting exempt from paying tax on, what it's being spent on, and to prove it. Because, of course, the IRS does what? Audit everybody. So, Lord forbid, but of course, if they ever do, the paperwork is right there. The paperwork is right there. Old fake Israelite group with the red and white, the candy cane niggas, they was taking money from people and building record studios and buying Rolls Royce for that fool, that old Tazadakia fool who died in prison with the COVID. They was taking people's money and not doing what the exempt status was allowing them to do. And the IRS kicked in the doors and seized all the computers and everything. And they found out what? Y'all don't know either.
That they didn't have any receipts for
that they mishandled $5.4 million. So when I ask you for your receipt, don't, huff and puff and suck your teeth and twist your head. Send me the fucking receipt. You understand? The 501c3 that's all involved. Now, search, while I take the brother question, search through there and find for me wherever it says you are not allowed to say X, Y, Z, and ABC. Just search through there for me, please. Go ahead, Art.
Sir, I was talking to an older brother that I guess they caused him to stumble because he wanted to talk about taking tithes because that organization was taking double tithes from him and the other members.
Say that one more time.
The one who died in prison, his organization was taking double tithes. So they not only messed that money up, they were taking double tithes from their members, and they had caused that gentleman to stumble because now he was questioning tithes. Period.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Where in the Bible is double tides? Once again, like at some point in your life, you're gonna have to take accountability for everything you hear that you decide to do. You're gonna have to do it, and you're gonna have to question it and show the proof. And before double tides, right? Before double tides, or before what's the other? Them all fake is fake purple ones that like to talk about the marriage certificate. Before all of that, where did the truth start? And if you're not there, you're kind of halfway, more than likely 90%, according to me, 100. You deserve everything you get over there. Right. That's really what it is. Because Commander YAHANNA been there since most people who in them Israelite groups today was born. And he's been saying, come back home. All camps, come home. They heard it and did not listen. So when, you know, they rob you blind and fleece you or force your woman to divorce you or whatever it is you go through in there, you know, you kind of earn that thing. You earn it. You earn it. All right? You earn it. Now, if you don't like what happening to you in there, then you know what to do. You know what I mean? But you must like it. You get the point? It's like a woman who's in an abusive relationship. Every day you're seeing her with them big old Mary J. Blige glasses on. Every week. Sis, what's going on? You sis, you need to leave that man. She leave him and she go back. You need to leave him. You need to say, you know, to separate. After a while, what are you even concerned? Right. You must like what's happening to you, right? You must like, you know, getting your lip bust open and you know. So what do you want me to do? Feel sorry for them? At this point, with the internet and the TikTok and the StreamYard and all the kind of technology we have, and you have full access to the home of the truth, and you still kind of halfway, what? Okay, well, you know, what do you want me to do about that? All right, Bukwash, you find it?
I found a little something.
Let me hear it. Let me just hear the little something.
This is for exemption requirements for the 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
It says Section 501c3 organizations are restricted in how much political and legislative lobbying activities they may conduct.
They are, say it one more time.
501c3 organizations are restricted in how much political and legislative lobbying activities they may conduct.
They are that first part tripping more. Let's read the first part again. 501c3 are
501c3 organizations
are restricted from how much political involvement, lobbying, and legislative lobbying they can engage in. Anybody knows what political and legislative lobbying is? Come on.
Is when you hire somebody to try and get the politicians or legislators to pass a law or pass a bill in your favor.
Okay, that's what the person you hire is a lobbyist, right? The person you hire as a lobbyist is just, you know, somebody who go and grease the wheel. That's all that person does. They go grease the wheel. They make their way into the Congress floor. They go to the Senate. They go to the community meetings, and they talk to the movers and the shakers who will make decisions and allude to a big paycheck from Pepsi if you pass this legislation. Now, read that one. I'm gonna come to read that one more time again.
Section 501c3 organizations are restricted in how much political and legislative lobbying activities they may conduct.
In how much political and legislative lobbying activities they can do. So one activity is, of course, to just go straight and try to bribe some politician, which is really what a lobbyist is doing. It's just it's a legal bribe. They're allowed to do that, right? And even they have rules on how they could present it and how much, and where even they have rules on where the money goes. Like this money had to go to some foundation, or the money gonna pay for the campaign, and they had to find some way to, you know, to account for it. There's also another political and legislative lobbying that those organizations could do. Who knows what? Go ahead.
Fundraise or something?
Even with the fundraising, you would still, okay, even that part, you need whatever revenue or cash you have to do the work you do. So you're not going to give it to some, you know, hope in a race. Some of them might do it, but they're very, very restrictive on what they can do. There's another thing they can do. From the constituents they help, they can now do what? Go vote for Councilman Jones. Hey, how you doing, Sister Jeffrey? Good sermon today, Pastor. Are you going to vote? Is that strange to anybody?
Nah.
Yeah, that's what happens in the church. Every time there's an election, right? According to that, your preacher not supposed to be doing that. What do we say about voting? Don't vote. Done. So that is bullshit there, what they're talking. According to that. Anymore?
That's it, sir.
That's it. So one of the restrictions is you can't have any political and legislative activity. Now, if the white man is the devil and God gonna destroy America, America need to burn, and East Wing, West Wing, same bird, death to the eagle, and what else we say, your religious leaders are Uncle Toms. If all those things get somebody in office, I need to meet that senator because he owe the U.P.K. a ton of tithes. That shit ain't getting nobody in no goddamn office. You might get kicked out of office. So that's it, brother. Most people, like I said, 90% of people repeating bullshit they hear because really, they're really just too lazy to change. Changing requires a certain amount of work. Working requires some sort of sacrifice. People just don't want to do that. So they say whatever. They say any old thing about anything. So they're not required to do any change. So you'll find that they're lying about what they're saying because they heard it from somebody else, or they're lying about what they're saying because they read it and they did not understand what the hell they're reading. They'll be, oh, see, you can't talk about the government. They think restrictive political and legislative activity means you can't talk about the government. What the hell are you talking about? Most people you encounter are stupid. You don't have to tell them that. But as they're talking to you, just understand. Yes, dummy. Okay, dummy. I hear you, idiot. Just understand that first and foremost, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's them talking to you. It's like you go into, some famous NFL coach and trying to tell him how to run the goddamn team. He gonna look at you and just shake his head and he gonna be like, this motherfucker. Okay, yeah. You run the blitz and then set them this way and, long and 2 corners, 3 tight ends. Okay, no problem. It's just stupid out. Come on.
So my most recent interaction with an idiot, he gonna tell me saints and sinners. You know what I'm saying?
Who? He said saints. He said what?
Saints and sinners.
Saints and sinners. Great. Great. Just a little disclaimer for you all who might say, Mashak is an idiot. I'm going to watch some fake Israelite. I was one of the idiots too. At one point in time, I was one of them dummies who thought I knew what I was talking about. And then I got some wisdom. So I have the right to call you dummy now. You're just a dummy. That's all. You're just a fucking idiot. Slack. Excuse me. Just say idiot. Slack. Because I was going to say something.
Yeah, Kyle, sir.
Go ahead.
Just from being on the TikTok lives, what you said is so heavy, sir. And it's really, you would think that we would just assume that what you just said, but sometimes you can remind us. It's like you're reminded when you talk to the brothers and sisters in the world, like our people really are just simple and stupid. And I'm sitting on TikTok live, and I really in order to have patience to be on these platforms, you have to really have a level of patience that's just unbelievable when you listen, because like you said, a lot of cats regurgitate that shit, and when you ask them, well, what does that mean?
Where you hear it from?
Where you hear it from?
Where can I find it?
Right, exactly. They can't break that
They can't break that shit down, brother. They heard that shit in a cipher.
Yeah,
they heard that shit in a cipher in between rolling the blunts. Yep. That's where they heard that shit out. They didn't do no research. They didn't, they don't understand nothing they're talking about. Right. Okay, this is what you got to do when you're speaking with somebody in the world. And this really was somebody who coming up against the truth. I'm not talking about somebody who genuinely doesn't know something and is asking a question. Right. I'm talking about somebody who think they know and they could tell you X, Y, Z instead of ABC. Right. What you have to do is lower your expectation. That's what you have to do. You must never assume in life. Most of your frustration in life comes from you expecting a certain standard or level from somebody else. And when that shit ain't met, you're infuriated or you're heartbroken or some shit. You're gonna have to just lower your expectation. That's, just lower, just, bring that shit down. Bring that shit all the way down. That way, Christ is black. Shit, I didn't know you know that. No, I'm surprised. Because I wasn't expecting you to know how to breathe. Right. I thought I was expecting you to do this when it's time to breathe. You just lower it, and you would start just you'd be able to develop the patience it would take to teach somebody, because our people really don't know. We think we know. Just remember, the same idiot who's battling you is getting high, is in some threesome relationship he doesn't even know, he or she don't even know about. Right. And voted for Clinton and has a Barack Obama hope, and yes, we can somewhere in the attic. Just remember that person did that shit. And why the hell would I even, esteem them with any sort of intelligence at all? It just can't happen. So the approach has to be different. It's not how you could disprove it. To disprove it, it means that you're giving them credit to say what they're saying might be true. It ain't true because it's stupid. You get your point? That's it. All right. Any more?
That's it on. Sir.
No sweat. Anybody else had any questions? Anything come up in the room?
Yeah, couple questions.
Go ahead.
I'm a posse want me to ask tonight, sir. If you a brother has a rib and he finds out that his rib, she tells him later on that she hoarded.
Ooh, boy, don't tell me, bitch. Don't tell me, bitch. Take that shit to the grave. Don't be like, listen, don't sit me down and be like, I have something to tell you. Right. And yeah, you remember that time when I went to Cancun? You ain't gonna finish your story around me. It's a lot. I'm gonna sit right there with all the evidence. I'm gonna sit right there with all the evidence when the cops come through the door. Freeze! I'm already frozen, officer. Can't you tell? I'm already frozen. She's frozen too. Don't tell me, Salaki. Right. Go ahead.
No, he said he want to know can he lawfully leave that system?
Okay, this is what he gonna have to do. He gonna have to, okay. Any brother in that situation, I would say call the UPK ASAP and get some counsel and get full out and out counsel. Because, okay, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to get somebody licensed to do nothing. Okay, what could happen is, this is what could happen. I'm not saying this is what is and what, should be, right? I'm hearing some feeding back.
Yeah, gosh, I'm in the stream. I'm about to connect to this.
Okay, no sweat. Okay. This is what could happen, right? You all could be high school sweethearts, right? From 15 or 16 years old. Now both of you all is 43. And you hear something from 18. Right. You all done had kids and built a house as far as all the evidence could be. They ain't, since that 18, there's been nothing. What you gonna do now? Right. I can't tell you just do that. You're gonna have to, there's more detail to the situation here. Okay. You get the point? There's way more detail to the situation. That's not a cut and dry, like I have a flat tire, go change it. Right. You get the point? It's not as cut and dry as that situation here. I would say for that person to go get counsel and call the nearest UPK ASAP, because brother, that information in your head, brother, if you did not know demons before, you're about to meet Legion. Right. You're about to meet Legion tonight. They're gonna be talking to you. They're gonna be, ever see Joe's Apartment with the roaches? Y'all never seen that movie. Yours is like, no. Yeah, you go watch Joe's Apartment. Them roaches was Joe's friends and was talking to Joe when Joe didn't have company. That's about to be Legion in your mind as you get this news. I'm trying to tell you, this is not the place to be. That's not the place to be mentally. You get the point? That's not the place. It's a very horrible situation for a brother, especially to be in that situation, because it's damn near you wish you had the evidence to go all the way through with it. Versus, I don't know. Right. That little piece of doubt and confusion, because as a man, you don't ever want to throw your family away, but you might have to. Right. But it's better if it's cut. It's damn near better if it's just cut and dry. You just catch it in the act, or there's a video and it's just, well, you know, we ain't had to think about this shit. Right. But the whole, I don't know, you try to do it yourself, you move on. Every moment after, you're gonna be like, this motherfucker, yeah. You get the point? It's one of them things you're gonna need to go get some counsel on. You absolutely need to go get some counsel on that situation. That's a rough situation. It's one thing to even suspect it. That suspecting thing is damn near gonna kill you. It's another thing. She said out her own mouth. Yikes. Shit. Bitch, why you telling me that shit? You're trying to take my job. That's gonna be listen, I feel for any brother who goes through it, but that's not some call the UPK quickly. If you have a car, just drive down there and sit down outside the school until somebody show up. Right. That's the safest place for it to be. Go ahead, Go ahead, take your time. You know, you don't have to say it. I have a topic I could do. Go ahead,
No, it's just being in Esau's military, you just hear a whole lot of nonsense
from men stationed away.
Even you know, like when they're there. So
when they're at home.
Concert.
Yikes.
So I know this one dude. He wanted to be my roommate. And he was a lower ranking person, and you couldn't move out the barracks unless you was a certain rank. Okay. But he was a low rank and he was out the barracks. I didn't understand why. I found out he was married, whatever. Mm-hmm. Later on, we went to like an NCO school, and he was in the barracks prior to that, so that he was. Okay.
What is NCO?
It was a non-commissioned officer. It's just a certain rank.
Like a trooper.
So it's more like a 5,000 before you get to be a
captain. That non-commissioned diminished the shit. A 5,000 ain't no lower rank, you know. It can't have no none before a 5. He's a non-captain. That shit. You get the point? A 5,000 is just before a captain. He's a non-commissioned officer. I think when you just here to to make the numbers look good, to even out the end. Go ahead, Salakia. Yeah, you're educated me. I gotta probably disrespect some vet. You're a non-commissioned. You wasn't shit. Yeah, right. They're gonna go shoot up the whole block. Right. Go ahead.
Well, so there's enlisted and then there's officer. Mm-hmm. So the officers are the commissioned, and then the enlisted, they will be like troops until they get NCOs. Okay. Right. So he was my roommate, and then I asked him why'd you move back into the barracks, and he was saying because of the job. They had to go to school for like 2.5, 3 years. That's just like uncommon in the military, whatever. Okay. But he got married while he was in school, and everybody was telling him about his woman, how she was, XYZ, this and that.
His woman was in the military as well.
Kind. She got pregnant. He got married. They got married.
You're in there right now. Y'all beware. Mm-hmm. Beware them corporals, them sergeants.
So even though she got married, she didn't change her habits, mm-hmm. right? So people kept talking about it. So he was just, she went away somewhere, and he had like a little daddy-daughter thing, whatever. Mm-hmm. He went to go get it tested, DNA test,
and the child wasn't his.
It wasn't his. That's why he moved back into the barracks. What would you do? Situation like that. Kids was 2 years old at the time.
Okay, once again, you can't ask me these situations. I'm not that type, and this is a brother or is a devil?
No, it was a devil.
But Lord be with you.
This story is not uncommon.
I heard about Esau's military and the amount of just tomfoolery that's been going on. That's the best way to put it. Just it's like a college campus with guns. It's really it's not it's not the best, most mature place for anything, marriage, nothing. It's just you should not go in. Any woman in Esau military, you got to look at her sideways. So lucky for anybody who's in there, but it's just the truth. It's like a woman who is in a woman who's attracted to them fraternities.
Yeah, God.
like something ain't all the way right upstairs with her. You get the point? So any situation like that, brother, okay, it's really best to get the counsel, because it's so emotionally charged. Your decisions really may not ever be the best situation for you, right? Even in a situation like that, there is an exit strategy, right? I get laying you all a little bit in now. Sometimes you may decide you walking away from that broad, right? F her and the kids, right? And what is she going to do? Even though she knows she's a whore, even though she know the kid ain't yours, what is she going to do?
Try for child support.
That's it. Now we're gonna have an exit strategy on this shit here.
Right.
You get the point? Right. So you ain't all the way jammed to hell up. You're gonna need the counsel on this. The counsel is, it's very beneficial. Sometimes it's a situation we just have to eat it. You just have to eat that shit, and if she do it, she do it. And if she don't do it, then whatever. The best advice I can give you is choose wisely.
Right.
That's just about it. Just choose wisely. Just make a wise decision. Get counsel. Give me Ecclesiasticus. Is it 20? I believe it might be 20. Was it 32? Where is it? In all things get counsel. It says in all things get counsel. 32 and 19.
Okay, so like I had one in 37.
Let me hear that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise.
Let reason go before it. Like, reason with this thing, and I explain reasoning to Israelite. Right. You know what reasoning is. Like, we even talk about it. Yeah, we sat and we reasoned.
Right.
You know what I mean? The pros, the cons, the points, the this, the that, the wants, the desires, the wishes, the collateral, the consequence of whichever action. Let reason go before every enterprise. Go ahead.
And counsel before every action.
And counsel before every action. That's what you should do. You know what I mean? And if you don't do it, whatever happens, get a knife and a fork and a damn napkin and eat it.
Right.
Be mindful in your decisions. That's all I can say. Be a man in that shit. You wanted that decision. You wanted to make this thing. Fine. Handle it.
Right.
You get the point? Don't, when the punches come and you get hit in the ribs, you want to cry now. No. Take that shit, nigga. Because if the decision was good, how would you be? You would be quite satisfied. And you would say what? I handled it.
Right.
Handle them problems too. Don't be a punk. Don't be one-sided.
Right.
If you handled it and you fixed it and you get it, hey, that's a good job, brother. Yeah. I reasoned this thing out and I figured if I go buy this transmission and put it in this and I do this, it'll work. No problem. Now, when the shit break down on, 695 going to, Milwaukee,
right,
just know that this is your work. And don't cry and don't, fidget and don't become, a sucker over the shit. You made your decision. You get the point? You want to stand on it, right? Anything else on that?
That's it.
That's it. Give me the Ecclesiasticus chapter 32. And start at, hold on. (18).
It's Ecclesiasticus 32 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
A man of counsel will be considerate.
Right. A man of counsel will be considerate. Right. A man of counsel, a man of wisdom who done been receiving wisdom will be considerate. Will be, considering things. Not always so just rash and cut and dry. You consider the situation. And considering all sides.
right.
And to do that, you can't be emotional. Which is why any brother in that situation, any situation somebody find themselves in with a brother or sister, it's always good to call somebody who has no emotional care whatsoever, whether you go left or right. And that person will be able to tell it to you how you need to hear it so you could make these decisions. You get the point? But you in the, emotions is like being in open sea. If anybody, ever any swimmers in here, anybody can swim? Don't think pool or close to the shore, or even if it's close to the shore on a beach, just think a beach is a little rough and the waves is tossing you. You're trying to find your footing so you don't get swept. But them waves is doing what the fuck they want to do. That's emotions. You trying to do it, but there's no way to do whatever you're trying to do. There's something around you, over you, sometimes in your mouth, the water going, water in your ear, you come back up, water in your ear. That's an emotional state. And when you're in that state, brother, you need somebody who is in a boat, not being tossed and just saying, take my hand. Take my hand. Yeah, I see you. I got you. Yeah, hold on. Come this way. They calm. They're not in it scrambling and they're not in the emotion. You need somebody to say that to you. You get the point? Go ahead.
But a strange and proud man is not daunted with fear. Even when of himself he hath done without counsel.
All right, a strange and proud man is without fear. He ain't worried about refusing the hand on the boat. He gonna try to swim against this riptide over here and make it to shore. Yeah, the shore is right there. Not in a riptide, nigga. The shore is really about 50 feet that way. You get the point? He is not considerate. He's not really considering what's going on. He's not thinking about it. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 19. Do nothing without advice.
Say it again.
Do nothing without advice.
Say it one more time.
Do nothing without advice.
Yeah, brother. She sits you down over a glass of scotch and spill this information to you. Get some advice. Call, because now as you get in the advice is like a diagnostic on a car or, an appraisal on a house. What about this? When did this happen? What was going on then? XYZ, blah, blah, blah. How long ago? It's a analysis of the whole situation. You get the point? It's a whole analysis of the whole thing. And, you get the counsel then. You do nothing without advice. That's just the best way to do. And really, okay, that would save a lot of nonsense if somebody would call before they take action. You get angry, you take a second and you call, but we as a people, we give in to the emotion a whole lot. But if you could realize an emotional state is you being lost at sea, brother, you would not try to swim. You would be looking for somebody to pull you out of that situation. You would really be doing it. But sometimes the emotion, Satan tell you it's justified and blah, 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 blah. And before long, you just in more deep ass water. And, now the water calm, but you all the way over there. You get the point? Now it ain't tossing and turning no more. Now the water all calm and you just treading water in the middle of nothing. To the left or to the right. Not a bird, not a cloud, not land, nowhere. You get the point? Do nothing without advice. Go ahead.
And when thou has once done, repent not.
And now after you get that counsel or that advice, when you make your decision, brother, eat it down, swallow that bitch. See you at camp on Saturday. Don't come and tell me, well, sir, I know I should have gone left, but I went right, and I guess what I'm gonna be looking at you doing. Yes, dummy. All right, yeah, right, dummy. You should have gone right, idiot. Oh, I understand. What time are you gonna be at camp? How's that camp? How's Chinese boots? Just get the counsel, and this is in general for everybody. But brother, that particular situation, people die over shit like that. People die. That's unalive and unalive yourself. I guess that's how you would call it. And then there may be children involved. You just kind of want to go get some counsel. You want to go get some counsel. And okay, by no means am I saying counsel means there's a chance to keep marriage. That's not what I'm saying. Because me myself, it's done. I can't even think it. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. I can't even think of this shit. Usher concert? What? Who the fuck is Usher? I ain't know nothing about that shit. Don't ask me to go to none of them shit. Okay, nothing about Usher, Busher, whoever. Go ahead, Ark.
So like, if I could, it was once upon a time. I think I was Trooper, and
yeah, sure.
I came upon one of them emotional decisions, and I was telling myself, stay calm, think it through, don't do this. And then Satan was in my head, like, F it. And then when I went to go do it, the opportunity just disappeared.
Yeah.
I was searching for it too. So like,
that's how it goes, Ark. Okay, it's your emotions it's not a good place to be making decisions with. You get the point? And getting counsel could save you a whole lot, because most brothers really done been through the shit you've been through. Most brothers either been through it or heard of it. Whether you brother or sister, your problems are not unique. There's no unique problem in the earth today. There's none. Every single issue you have, somebody's going through it before. Somebody's been to court for it before. Somebody know the lawyer that specifically deals with that shit. You get the point? You just have to open your mouth and get some counsel and say what's going on. Right. But you don't have to. You ain't got to. You definitely ain't got to. But whatever decision you make, when you make it, brother, just buy a special knife and fork and napkin to eat the consequences that come with it. Just lap it up and just, take it in. All right?
Right.
Okay, no sweat. Any more?
Last, just let you know also,
SWAP is in Yabshin chapter, but I don't think I could hear him though, right? Is the audio working on that now?
I have everything. Everything is up. I'm not.
So like, can you hear me now?
His mic is not muted.
I don't know why that's working. If I pull him here, will it reverb?
I don't think so.
It shouldn't. If that mic is muted, if that laptop is muted, it shouldn't. So.
But if it's muted, I ain't gonna hear him. Even the mic.
Yeah, the mic is muted.
Okay, let me see. You'll bear with me one.
Okay.
But that thing was working all the time, though, right? You sure it ain't off? Are you sure that thing ain't muted off?
Lot, so it's saying it's 96%. That's a volume.
There's a huge echo.
Just do that and then undo it.
No, put it on. Okay, click off of it, click on the communications. Go back.
It will now?
Yeah. Was he speaking?
So what?
Yeah, so I can say
just cut this thing on.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So I can see me.
It still ain't getting nothing.
No,
okay.
It was working yesterday.
Okay. All right, no sweat. So if we having some little audio problems here with this thing, you ain't getting no audio of the damn computer. You can just type your question in if you need it, all right? If you need a question, just type it in, all right? Type or text. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing it. Yo, show the tab. What about the tab? Is the tab muted?
No, everything is
you sure? Yeah, that's wild. That's a wild thing right there. Okay. All right, cool. Somebody pull for me. If there's no more questions, right? We're gonna go into the Pullman workers, Rosa Parks, and the civil rights. All right. So now, today, what do you know about what they say about the civil rights movement? The story they tell in school is what? What do they say? What's the story they give everybody in school? Come on.
That the civil rights movement was black people wanting to join and be equal with white society. Join their businesses, be able to sit in their establishments, and go to their schools and sit at the front of the bus.
Right.
That's what we're told in school.
And with it, it's I think okay. From what I understand, it's really married with the Rosa Parks,
right?
Where they really say that Rosa Parks was the spark that started everything,
right.
And it was not historically. It was not, and this is not a stab at Rosa Parks for you vloggers and bloggers and influencers on the internet. I'm not in no way trying to take a stab at Rosa Parks or disrespect Rosa Parks or anything like that. I'm just trying to make you less dumb, right? It did not start with Rosa Parks, right? Rosa Parks, as you know, is the sister who became famous for refusing to move to the back of the bus, right? I believe this was in what, Alabama? Right, this was in Alabama. This is in the Jim Crow era, which is what, 1950s? Whole story was in the 50s?
Yeah, I think it was 54, if I'm not mistaken.
Double check it for me. All right. The years is escaping me. Right? During that Jim Crow era where the segregation was very, 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 very much in effect. It was like night and day. It was like the shoreline and the sand. 55 was her incident. Right? So now there was black seating sections everywhere. Right? On the modes of transport, there was a certain section for whether it was the back or to the right side or whatever. And of course, your oppressor, the so-called European, was able to sit wherever the hell he pleased and was at the front of everything. He was at the front of the bus, the front of the line, using the front doors to different things in societies. He was at the front of business and commerce, able to get loans and stuff. He was at the front of the wage, meaning he made top dollar while our people did not make top dollar, right? He is Lucifer, the son of the morning. Just like that's the first thing you see in the morning. The sun, that's him. He is in front of everything. He's allowed to do everything. Our people weren't. And of course, that situation with Rosa Parks, it ignited a civil unrest. I believe there were some riots following her stand. And from there is where they teach that the civil rights movement started. It didn't start. It definitely had a spark. It definitely was ignited. But what you want to do is look up the Pullman workers, the Pullman porter workers, I believe, or the Pullman porters, right? Somebody look up the Pullman porters as any article relating them to the civil rights movement. That's what you want to look at. Because, of course, that the Pullman workers they were what, I believe, train workers or train line or train yard workers to an industry that belonged to this devil named George Pullman. I believe that was his name, George Pullman, who was really in charge of it. He owned slaves. This is an old family business dating to the late 1800s, right? And they owned, certain train yards and train station and transport cars and trolleys and all that type of stuff. And of course, they owned slaves and then hired slaves and descendants of slaves to work in their industry. You have some, Shapat? Please.
Pullman porters were men hired to work.
Is there an article? Is that an article or?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead. Read what you got.
Pullman porters.
I need if anybody else have the same thing, somebody else look up just a regular article, Times or somebody else who did it, because it'll match up the same. Go ahead.
Pullman porters were men hired to work for the railroads as porters on sleeping cars. Starting shortly after the American Civil War, George Pullman sought out former slaves to work on his sleeper cars. Their job was to carry passengers, baggage, shine shoes, set up and maintain the sleeping berths, and serve passengers. Pullman porters served American railroads from the late 1860s until the Pullman Company ceased operations on December 31st, 1968.
Right, so those would be a Pullman workers, right? If anybody who could see the video, those would be a Pullman workers. Just think, you see, in those hotels how you have a bellhop. Just think that for the train yard or the train line, somebody helping you put your stuff on the train in the cabin, walking you, with pleasantries as you go to your train. You know what I mean? Just think like almost like a usher or a station attendant. But this was, you know, more menial job because of course they get the brothers to do the shit. And you hear from since the late 1800s all the way through, and it's a family, you know, run business thing, right? Anything else as it pertains to the civil rights? Because it tells you, it tells you from the Pullman workers, there was an incident or incidents that happened, and then they did something. You haven't? Is it there? Or is it any other article?
No.
Go ahead.
Pullman porters formed the first all-black union, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, in 1925. Formation of the union was instrumental in the advancement of the civil rights movement. Porters worked under the supervision of a Pullman conductor, distinct from the railroad's own conductor in overall charge of the train, who was invariably white.
Exactly. So now they have a foreman or a charge man, and he is, you know, he's brothers who work construction today. He's the one wearing the white hat. Everybody else in the yellow hat and had the tie offs, their boots all, you know, disgusting and muddy. And he just pulling with the brand new Silverado and come on with the white hat, and he's just looking. That's this overseer here, right? Keep going. So now in 1925, they formed a union, right? Go ahead.
In the late 19th century, Pullman porters were among the only people in their communities to travel extensively. Consequently, they became the conduit of new information and ideas from wider world to their community.
Right, and this is because of their slavery. Because of their slavery, these brothers was able to travel. I mean, think about it. It's like not in terms of the job, but the experience. It's like a trucker. If you want to look at a brother today, or for a sister, a flight attendant. You're a flight attendant. You could be from, I mean, God knows where, but your plane lands in Paris tonight. You can carry one of them little short totes. You going for a week at a time because you have shifts and you getting to see and hear things, and you know there's certain information coming back to the community because the community is still segregated. It's still heavily under Jim Crow. So now you go and you see and shit, and the shit you seeing and hearing, not everybody privy to, because why? You're a servant. So as you carrying these two senators' luggage, you hearing the shit they're talking about. Just like, you know, you sweeping the floor in one of them buildings down in DC. You get the point? So that these brothers was able to hear and see things from different places, make connections. You know what I mean? Just like how we do today. Just like how we do today as we move in. You get the point? Keep going. And they formed the union in 1925. Go ahead.
Many Pullman porters supported community projects, including schools, and saved rigorously to ensure that their children were able to obtain an education and thus better employment.
They had a 501c3, Bukwash. They saved their money. They support many community projects. They make sure the children had school to be attended. I mean, you see why I said that people is just dumb and stupid. That's just all it is. They save their money. Now, what would happen if people started giving them money? The government would come and want to tax them and take half. So now the 501c3 status allows you to have an organization and keep all of the donations and spending money as you see fit that is going to benefit the community, provided you have receipts to show your expenditure. That's just it. You can say what the hell you want. You know who has a 501c3? Okay. You see how low my expectation was, right? My expectation was all the way down here. The KKK is a legit 501c3, tax exempt. I don't know what the hell some dummy talking about. We can't say nothing against them. These niggas hanging people. They're hanging people, and people going missing. But you have something to tell me, nigga? And the lobbying, and again, all the, you know, the donations and stuff, and paying which senator to not persecute the police, which is where a ton of your old school police officers come from. They come out of that KKK thing. I'm gonna look it over again. That Los Angeles PD, that modern PD, comes from, I forget the name of the devil. Somebody look him up for me, please. Just a quick sidebar. It's some devil chief they brought in from either Alabama or Mississippi, right? So you remember, California, LA was definitely segregated too with the train lines and certain areas, the Watts, everything was, buzzing black communities. And those brothers, it's from him and his movement, those brothers started forming the gangs. You get the point? Initially, not the Bloods and the Crips, but the ones before that would police the old neighborhood and keep a watch. Because this devil brother came up to the north, to the West Coast, saw the situation, and started bringing in KKK cops from the South to fill the ranks in the LAPD. And that's where you get the behavior from that they have now. And they went to busting heads, brother, kicking in them boom boom and cotton club rooms, that type, and busting heads up, brother. And it's because of that. But the KKK has a 501c3. Go ahead.
Like here, the KKK has a 501c3 is that kind of brings more sense to the fact that they were able to be honored and have a plaque or what you call it, a statue at what's that?
West Point.
West Point Academy.
Well, the 501c3 doesn't give them that. That there comes from the oppressor looking at this organization as a pure organization for the advancement of white people.
Right.
So they get the honor for that. You get the point? Like everything they did, the good, the bad, and the ugly was necessary to advance the European race in this country. That's how they look at it. They look at it like all that was just war is in history. Every single country, empire had war days, had days where they climbing the ladder, and they just look at it like this was just another form of war. You get the point? And that's why they're honored everywhere and, respected. You get the point? You found it?
I see one was the LA mayor was a KKK leader.
He may be the one who brought the dude, but this dude, he came in and he became the chief of police. I'm gonna look it up. Maybe it's the mayor. Maybe I'm confusing it. I forget which year, but brother, he came in and he brought droves. They say the migration was ridiculous in maybe 6 months to a year.
Right.
The LAPD, them ranking officers, the ones who was really building the force was KKK members from the South who was police down south or KKK officers down south, and he brought them up to the West Coast to help form and beat niggas' head in.
Right.
You understand? Let's get back to the topic, all right? So, of course, the Pullman workers, they're pushing through. They're doing this thing. And, of course, at that time, segregation. So the men, men and women, but, of course, the men being very present. Now, even though these brothers would travel, it tells you they're saving their money, pushing it back into the community, trying to secure schools for the kids to go to. Why? Because they don't want the kids to have to do this damn shit they're doing.
Right.
You get the point? They're trying to make, the kids, let them have an education so now they could grow up and be the engineers and this and that and the other. You get the point?
Right.
They really have, and once again, which is why the civil rights movement, it was such a Trojan horse to the black community, because we really thought the sacrifice of the German shepherds and marching and getting your head bust and the hoses was going to give us some sort of political and legislative, it was, power, and it didn't. You get, go ahead, Al.
Just to add to that, it said that Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall and former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown were descendants of Pullman pullers.
So you see how he gets his education. You get the point? Go ahead.
Marshall was also a porter himself, as were Malcolm X and the photojournalist Gordon Parks.
Got it. All right. Give me some more on the wherever you was reading from. I want from after they formed the union and what happened. Let me see. I have an article here. It might give you everything. All right.
I have this right here. So it says,
go ahead.
In the following decades, the devs led American Railway Union made advances on behalf of the workers. Unfortunately, those benefits didn't apply to the African American porters, who were outranked by every other employee. At its first meeting in 1894, the American Railway Union had voted 112 to 110 not to allow African Americans to join. A decision that Lepore said set back the cause of labor for decades.
Brother, so they had this union in the 1894, late 1800s, late 19th century, and they omitted the black workers because, of course, your union is where you get your collective bargaining unit from. That's all the sheep behind me. I'm the shepherd. I say this is what we eating. This is what we getting, and if we don't get down tools, go slow. All them phrases, sick out, sit-ins, all it's from having one mind, one mission, one desire, shared by a large enough workforce that if you don't please this representative, your work could shut down indefinitely. Right? So of course they eliminate the black workers, and from that, because of that, the white union members and union workers was able to get paid a certain amount, and black workers was not able to get paid that amount. Right? And as it said, he said it set back the black wage for decades. For decades, right? Really down near centuries, if you really want to be honest. Right? So stop where you are right there. Bukwash, I just sent you something. Scroll down to long hours, low pay. Right? And read from read from the top. God damn, I didn't see that one. Go ahead.
Long hours, low pay. Pullman's porters.
Right, and this is for anybody who knows. This is from the CT Examiner, I believe, Connecticut Examiner. Go ahead.
Pullman's porters had to be on call 20 hours a day.
20 hours a day, like they're a nurse. 20, and just on call, meaning you just had to sit there in that army uniform in the heat, because this is, south. Right. And just wait until somebody show up with luggage. Not show up 1 hour before the train leave, which is when everybody gonna show up. But you just, you on call. You just, you gotta show up there and be there 20 hours a day. Go ahead.
Serving passengers and tending to boardings at intermediate stations. Porters work 400 hours per month with their time off being uncompensated.
Brother, 400 hours per month. How much does everybody work per month right now? It's 40-hour a week. By 4 is 160 hours. 400 hours per month. And these brothers said we're going to save our money and build our own schools so our kids don't have to go through this bullshit. Right. Negroes is making way more money now and arguing with me about fucking tithes. Should I just crack your jaw? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta understand the level of stupidity we are at as a people. Go ahead.
They had to pay their own. They had to pay for their own uniforms, meals, and shoe shine kits. Between runs, even away from home, they paid for their own lodging. The hours they spent before and after each trip preparing and cleaning the car was also unpaid.
They making mention of this because, of course, the white workers was getting all of that shit and didn't have to work that hard. You get the point? That's why they're making mention of all this thing here that these brothers is going through. And still, under all of that, they didn't think of themselves.
Right.
They thought of the future, which is why your civil rights movement, in that civil rights movement and that Black Uprising movement, it was imperative that this U.S. government removed black men from houses. It was imperative, brother, because brothers would do so much with so little.
That's right.
So much with so little. We tried paying them less than normal, thinking the wages would cripple them. But Pharaoh tried that 2,000 years ago with make brick without straws, and them niggas went and built pyramids. We just had to get rid of these niggas. Get the men out the home. No, nobody ain't trying to make, schools for nobody. You get the point? Come on.
Like, if I could, just from the sacrifices that these men were making to get the kids in school, that trickled down into the kids actually wanting to not, disappoint or let down their fathers and taking the education very seriously.
Well, it's the times too. You got to look at the times. The times was today. Your average student would see an oppressor, and the oppressor would do what? You walking down the road, you see some oppressor. What's the interaction? What do they do? You all don't know?
They're trying to avoid us.
Just think you go in the store, or they smile at you, just uncontrollably smile and nod, and how you doing? They try to make nice. This is a time where you get in hard stares. Don't look at me, boy. Nigga.
Right.
This is that time.
Right.
Children get scared easily. And children could damn near detect your energy through a door.
Right.
You get the point? So, of course, a child is going to be way more focused on not having a society tied to them.
Right.
But today, Lil Wayne say, don't tell me about racism because a white man saved my life. Uncle, what's his name? Uncle what? Uncle Bob. You call me Uncle Bob. The time is different. You got to consider that too. The time is very, very different. So, if you holding a child today to some standard, once again, lower your expectation. I mean, who you think you have? Two say in your house? You think you have two say over here? You think your daughter is fucking what's the Underground Railroad? You think you give your daughter Harriet Tubman? No, they're far from that. They're far from that. But this time here we're talking about is way different. You get the point? It's different in what you could see physically in terms of the interactions. Right? Keep going.
In 1926, the average porter earned $72 a month in wages and averaged $58 a month in tips.
Right, so that's a total of what? 80 and 50 is 130. $130 a month. Go ahead.
In contrast, Pullman's white conductors who had a union earned $150 for a 240-hour month, plus benefits and a pension.
They work 240 hours a month. These brothers working 400 hours a month. And they making 150 in wages and tips on average, which means you may make 100 because the tips average at 58. So you could come home, one month you could get only 10 in tips.
Right.
You get the point? And you working more than twice the hours these devils working. And getting less than half of what they're getting.
Right.
And we still founded, I think, 65 HBCUs between when slavery was so-called abolished right up until civil rights.
Right.
Come on.
117.
117 HBCUs? Salakia, I don't remember numbers. I do know people are stupid, though. 117 HBCUs between 1860 something and 1950, working more than 2 times as the oppressor and making less than 50% of his wage. You understand what I'm saying? From that era, making those schools, you have Chief Justice Thurgood Marshall coming out of that. That's what we produce. Now, of course, he's a Tom and he's sitting wherever. I'm just showing you the level that we could operate at and produce people who, under the right circumstances, would help their own. You understand?
Right.
Keep going.
Still, Pullman's black porters made a good income compared to other black workers, allowing many to enter the middle class in railroad hub cities like Chicago and St. Louis.
You understand? So now they're making good money compared to others, but they ain't making what they really should be making. You get the point?
Right.
They're not really making what they really should be making. Go ahead.
As one historian puts it, a Pullman porter had the best job in his community and the worst job on the train. There was no room for promotion. Passengers often refer to Pullman porters by demeaning names like boy, or George, applying the first name of the Pullman car's owner.
Because it's George Pullman who owned the, Pullman company. So everybody's George. Everybody is boy. Salaki. I need to dampen the spirit in the room. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Right? That's what's going on. So this here kind of set the tone for wanting to have the union, wanted to fight for better wages. They started having different movements from that time on, from the 1920s, you could say. They started mobilizing. Really, the 1890s, when they got rejected from that union. 1890s, they started saying, well, we need to make our own. We started doing whatever. And they're moving and pushing. And it led right up into the 50s with Rosa Parks, where they was already starting movements for equal pay. There was already starting strikes and movements for equal pay. And then that Rosa Parks incident happened. And the Pullman workers started using that to now bring to give that movement gas for striking and civil rights. Really, the civil rights started off as wanting equal pay. They wanted equal pay from the thing they was working on. Rosa Parks gave them the exposure or the offense that they could use that was great enough. But it was not just Rosa Parks and then we want to go sit. It had nothing. We had our own we had our own schools. We had our own restaurant. Many of them moved into the middle class with the money they was making. You get the point? We didn't need this whole narrative of, we had to go to the back and drink water. That's, bullshit. That was, the story to romanticize the shit, to try to go sit close to Whitey, when you should have been just trying to get that money. And of course, the Pullman workers, the leaders, they pushed for the money. But by the time Philip Randolph and what's the other one? Bayard Ruskin, right, which was two quote unquote civil rights leaders from San Francisco. These were two LGBTQ members, right? They done hijacked the Pullman workers movement and turned it into joining the society, because of course they wasn't concerned with money but being accepted as Black LGBTQ members in white society. That's really the push for it. So they hijacked the Pullman workers movement with the Rosa Parks team. They got the face of somebody who was not violent. It was a choice between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And that's how you have your March on Washington in 1950 something, 60 something, whatever the year it was. You get the point? Go ahead.
Also, too, the connection with the Pullman workers, A. Philip Randolph was the spokesman and the negotiator for the Pullman Workers Brotherhood. He was the one that was George Pullman was trying to pay him off to get them to accept the wages.
Yeah, the whole thing was hijacked. It was really hijacked. Even this March on Washington, they was planning to storm the damn airport and block the what's the thing? It was the tarmac. They was planning to block the tarmac so nothing could land and nothing could take off, because they was coming for the money. But that thing turned into, I have a dream. It turned into that shit. You get it? People walked. You hear the stories about people walking from the south to do this thing because money was at stake. Not that other bullshit to feed you. You get the point? Money was what it was, because the resources we had were so limited, but we saw what we could do with what we had. We working hard enough. Actually, you see the picture of the brother smiling. Look at that smile. That's a natural smile there, bro. I ain't saying he liked the work, but I'm saying he an Israelite working. When Jake working now. That's just it. We working. Pay me what you owe me, man. I'm here I'm doing a good job. And that's one thing with us as a people. We really goddamn near the best slaves, because we start taking pride in slavery. We start trying to make this place better. Everybody, whoever works in any organization, whether it's a mechanic shop or office, it's somebody who cleans up the lunch area. That's not a cleaner. Somebody just come in here. Hey, I brought this new coffee. Y'all want to try it? Nigga. What is he doing? Let them buy that shit. But that's how we are as a people. We make the place a place you want to work at. That's how we are. Pay me what I'm worth. Pay me exactly what I'm worth. This is what I need to be paid. That's what this was about. Bringing that money home, and they turn it into sitting in some restaurant in Woolworth and wherever else. That's what they turned it into. But it had nothing to do with that. We already had places like that. We had restaurants. We had, schools the kids was going to. We didn't need to sit in your restaurant. Well, what we needed was to get paid the right wage. And what they're not telling you is how we say it's set back the black wage for decades. It's still set it back today. Because how is it a black family and a so-called European family has the same slavery, right? Whether it's the man or the woman, whatever. The man has the same slavery, but you and your woman have to both get slaveries at least 100,000 to survive. Meanwhile, this one devil, he working, nobody know where he's slaving, and his woman home in a house that's 3 times yours on a 3 acres more than you have, and you're working in the same place. And there's a whole culture of what? Don't talk about how much you get paid. There was a time they would tell you the salary of the job. Now they give you a range and you negotiate that in the interview. When they come in, brother, they're starting at least 20 or 30K above you. They're just starting there. They're not paying them like what they pay us. Still today, if you want to fight for integration, I don't know what you. Go ahead.
That's heavy how you say it, but I was working at this warehouse, and it so happened everybody who was our oppressor worked in the office, and all of us worked in the warehouse. And there was one devil that worked in the warehouse. They made him the manager, and everybody who was a devil in the whole place, they were going on vacations, buying new cars. They were doing their thing. And everybody in the warehouse, was living check to check and had problems, financial problems.
Yeah, and this is what we do as a people. What do we do when we see it? I make some overtime. I just gotta work harder. And you know what? I'm gonna go to night school. You think that nigga could go to night school? He probably don't even know how to read. He have somebody under him gassing them up that they're gonna be manager one day to do all the paperwork for him. Yeah, you understand? They don't pay us like they pay them. It's always been like that. It's always been like that. So now from this, you had the civil rights movement. Within the civil rights movement, you started seeing, of course, the whole plan to remove black men from the homes. With that also, too, you started seeing the decline of trade schools and trade education in the education system and industry. At one time, you had woodwork classes and home economics, home ec, where the sisters learn, home economics. And brothers go into woodwork and learn about tools and shit like that. I don't know how common that even is today. There's some places I'm sure still do it, but I don't think it's that common today, right? Those things, even though you have the esteemed disciplines of the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer needs to hire a plumber. He needs to hire a carpenter. He needs to hire a mason or mechanic. Those industries are everyday, always necessities. We don't have that type of power in our community anymore, much less brothers to decide where the money is being spent. Now, these brothers had families because they're trying to send the kids to school. So they're making less than 50%, paying for this lodging out of town, paying for the uniform, no compensation for time off when they're sick or something else, saving the money to build the schools for the kids, and keeping that woman happy with whatever money remained for the house and the food and whatever she's doing. Plus, most times once the baby grown, the woman is working in some white woman house anyway. And we still produce a certain amount. They hijack the civil rights to make sure and financially cripple us as a people. That's really what it is, to make sure we absolutely financially crippled and without a head in the home. Without a head in the home, because these brothers was head of the home and on the road and was still able to organize shit. We had to make sure these men have zero power. We tried to make sure they had no money, and them niggas, I don't know what the hell they did, but they did something with nothing. We had to get them out of the home, make sure they have no power, and look at the state of the black community today. That's really what it is. Now we sitting all the way at the front of the bus, or we could, but you walk on the H2 today in DC, boom, and you go straight to the back. It's for nothing. Go ahead.
It's like I said, what you said is so heavy that how it's so intertwined, and how they did this over a stage of decades in hijacking this movement. And when you look at the HBCUs, like a lot of those schools like Texas A&M, or the schools that have A&M, a lot of people don't know it stands for agriculture and manufacturing. A lot of those HBCUs were teaching strictly trades, home ec, sewing, like all the trades.
Right.
That's what they were teaching.
So that's what our society needs. That's what our community needs.
And you had over time Negroes that was now coming in. Your oppressor sent them in and said, well, black people are more than just, these trades. We can do this and we can do that. And so they turned the focus in the HBCUs from trades now to things like the arts and more so, what's the other? Like
communications and stuff.
Yeah, things that, like you said, are not every day that you need to sustain. Yeah, to sustain.
Was it?
Humanity.
Yeah, and it's not knocking anybody who has that discipline, but really, those things matter when you have a society that functions. Exactly. But when you have arts and liberal arts and humanities and communications and engineers and doctors, you have to go to the same oppressor. You now have to go to George Pullman to get a job. When you could have had your own everything, your own society to get a job. You get the point? The so-called the Asians, they get Chinatown in every city, right? They have carryouts everywhere, and they have a network. Because the same carryout from 10 years ago, it's still there. It just named something different, and there's a whole new family working there now. And they just change them out and they build them up, and you pay for them kids, them fried rice and them 6 wings, paying for college education. And them more when they become doctors and lawyers, they come back to that community. They come and even if they work in the industry, their money comes into that community, and that's what happens, when you have that tight-knit community that's separated and segregated with the right identity upstairs. We don't have that. You even have today, the Asians, I think, is either Harvard or Yale.
It's Harvard, sir.
Break it up.
They are the majority of graduates from, it's been like that for the past 5 years.
Not just the graduates. I think they lobbied for a feeder school just for them. Just somebody look it up. Where it's either the Koreans or the Japanese or the Chinese. One of them went to Harvard or Yale and lobbied for a special feeder school for them to matriculate into Harvard and Yale at us. Damn near like a Yale for Moab. One of them just did it. When I say just did it, within the last 10 years. You looking at me because you're looking at me like that. I'm telling you too much bad news. You think I'm lying? You don't want me to say, prophesy on two things. Because looking at me like, why are you telling me this shit? So you could go out there and speak and rage on the corner and fish people in the truth. I'll come here to piss you off. You didn't realize that by now? Y'all believe in the class. Fuck that Jacques talking about. Good, I did my job. This ain't church. You leave here happy, then something wrong with me. Now you leave here pissed off. I can't wait for camp. I'm gonna cuss everybody. Good. Good job. You all found it? One of them did it. All right. I think Arawaja said MLK said we go into DC to get the check. That's how he game everybody up. He said we go into DC to get that check, and that check's you're still waiting. Right. That's why DC full of Bahamas, because they're still waiting. You know what I mean? Let me see if I find it for you.
Concept.
You have it? Go ahead.
It's Students for Fair Administration,
Mm-hmm.
president and fellow of Harvard University, says a pair of lawsuits concerning racial discrimination and affirmative action programs in college admissions processes. The first cases involve Harvard University undergrad admission processes, which is claimed to discriminate against Asian American applicants, while the second centers around the University of North Carolina, which is socio-economical factors in administration, which is claimed to incorporate race and violate the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of '64.
Okay, this is something that happened recently, I believe, within the last year. That's what you're talking about there. There's another thing where they damn near made us like a side school. They damn near made like a side school about it. But they using the civil rights movement and policies or whatever came down from the civil rights to benefit them in this lawsuit here. Right? Which is, once again, yes, the civil rights, even though we were the energy and the driving force behind it, the biggest the communities that benefited the most from civil rights is the white American female, number one. Because of civil rights, she is now a CEO. She is now no longer barefoot and pregnant, but, you know, Nancy Pelosi. You get the point? Because of civil rights. Because of civil rights, you have the East Indians with the 7-Eleven and the Ethiopians. You have the East Indians with the Starbucks and the hotels. You have the Africans all over DC government and all over the prison system because of civil rights. You get the point? Everybody else benefited from civil rights but blacks and Hispanics. Anybody find it?
I got something right here. It says the Harvard University Asia Center.
Let me hear it.
It's going real slow.
No sweat.
Harvard University Asia Center.
It might be Yale. Let me see what Yale's saying. Let's move on. You know, so I'm gonna try to find it before the class done. You know what I mean? But one of them groups was able to get some sort of like, it's like a feeder school towards the university.
Right. Okay, I have the Harvard University Asia Center is an interdisciplinary research and education unit of Harvard University.
Go ahead.
It was established on July 1st, 1997.
I don't think so far back. I want to believe this is in the 2010s,
right?
Somewhere around there. All right. If you can't find it, also, I'm gonna look for it and see if we can post it in there. All right. So that's it. That's a little bit of a history on that civil rights movement with the Pullman workers. Once again, this is no disrespect to Rosa Parks, but there was a whole history before her and before what she did, and before, you know, where it spiraled from there. And they don't tell you the whole ins and outs of the whole, you know, what it really was about. It's had nothing to do with, you know, trying to, you know, sit at some white restaurant. This was about pay.
Right.
This was about equal pay, and really, turning it into sitting at a white restaurant means I still go to work, which with the Pullman workers, they was not working, which ESO was losing the money, which is how you negotiate a wage. That's what the unions do. They're down tools.
Right.
They show up and don't do no work. They're there, but they ain't working. You get the point? That's what would have happened, but that didn't happen. And you're still fighting for wages today, equal opportunity wages, to be paid just like the white American male. That's the standard of America.
Right.
To be paid just like the white American male. In America, the highest paid person is the white American male, then the white woman, then every other nation, then the black woman, then the black man. That's the hierarchy of your wage.
Right.
You don't, there's no way to climb above it. You'll never get what he gets.
Right.
And that's just it. All right. Good. Any more questions? Any questions online on the class? If not, go ahead.
And it's heavy. You broke that down too, because a lot of sisters get beside themselves when they get these jobs, and they think it's because of their own merit. Not to say that these degrees and you putting in at them years, the tenure at these slaves is not doesn't factor in, but they don't understand. They're part of a bigger scheme now to make sure that they feel that they're over the brothers. And then what happens is when Esau knows it, these sisters get this money and these good jobs, and they get beside themselves now and think that they're better than the brothers that they
or they think that they earned it. Right. They did it because they woman. Okay, this is one thing I always hear. The women are smarter because they're having all these good jobs.
Yeah.
Salakia. Who's telling you you're smarter?
Right.
Who's telling you that?
Right.
Who? The same person who told you your hair was too kinky?
Right.
Or your lips was too big?
Right.
Cheeks was just too big and your hips too big and you look like a gorilla. That same cracker, same devil is telling you you are smart and you believe him?
Right.
Are you stupid? You're going nowhere without the black man. Brothers, you're going nowhere without these sisters.
That's right.
The oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of.
Right.
And we'll be saying it every day from here on out.
Right.
And maintaining our 501c3 status, because Commandant Johnny Hanna raised us to be upstanding, righteous, responsible men.
That's right.
Where we don't misappropriate funds and this, that, the other, and what we get here, we're gonna put it right back into the community. You don't believe me? Ask Acuna. Ask Acuna, Mexico, if the 501c3 helped them or not. Ask Haiti. Ask Trinidad. Ask the Venezuelans in Trinidad if the 501c3 didn't help them or not. Who else got it? Go ahead.
Hell, I got it personally.
Shit. Why going that far, Kazak? Ask me. Ask me. Ask, Shapat. Ask Bokwashi. Ask Kazak. Ask Ayan Lawana. Just ask anybody UPK if this thing does not work. This thing works because we are about the Lord's people. Like Esau don't care what you say, dummy. He don't care what anything you say. As long as you're keeping people out the prison, go ahead and do whatever the hell you have to do with it. It don't matter what you say. That the white man is the devil means you don't sell drugs no more and you stay out of prison. Preach on. Keep it going. He don't care nothing about that. And that requirement is not there. It's just not there. You get the point? They're simple. Let's get one last thing before we roll, right? And unless there's any more questions.
Like I said, I did.
Go ahead.
My brother had asked me, and I wanted to ask it tonight. Any precepts that mention Christ in the quote unquote Torah?
That mention the word Christ.
Not the word Christ, but any precepts.
Like a prophecy?
Or anything that alludes to Christ in the Torah.
Oh, yeah, there's several. But okay, you probably ought to get his question worded. Is he challenging it or he just wants some precepts?
No, somebody's challenging him. So
okay. I'll give you the precepts. There's a few of them. Just give me Jeremiah 23:5 or 25:5. Right? Shit, why go in there? Genesis 49:10. Melchizedek, Exodus 16 or something like that. Genesis 49:10. Give me Exodus. Give me Jeremiah 23 and something.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 10.
Go ahead.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet.
Right? Christ is the King of Israel. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, or a lawgiver from between his feet. From since Genesis, Judah was prophesied to be the king. Go ahead, keep going.
Until Shiloh comes.
Until Shiloh comes. Shiloh is what? Peace, or the peaceable one. Until he comes, the ones who makes peace, or the peaceable one, or peacetime.
Right.
Peace, break the peacetime down. That's would be the key for this one for Christ. Go ahead.
I'll keep reading, sir.
No, tell me what the peace is. That's what I would use first.
Okay.
Right, go ahead.
The peaceful time is when But Christ would return now and make peace on the earth through war.
Not peace on the earth. Peace between us and our Father. Right now, there's a war between the 12 tribes of Israel and the Most High Power.
Right.
That's it. That's where we at. We just badass kids who ain't going to school, who ain't coming straight home, back talking, twerking on TikTok, you know, doing everything stupid and dumb, worshiping other gods.
Right.
And your father came home one day and kicked in the door, and there's war in that room. He's beating you with everything that's not nailed down. He threw the dresser at you, ripped the ceiling fan off, whooping you with the blades, stifle you under the goddamn mattress.
Right.
Your mom outside the door saying you're gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him. Bitch, stay outside. We are at war with the Most High. He's at war with us.
Right.
And we're losing that war, in case you didn't know. Most High 1,000, Israel none. We're losing that war, and you need that big brother who the Father is well pleased with to come in and see that there's still hope for your little knucklehead ass, because this son is good.
Right.
Pops, I got him. He pissing me off, man. Why can't they be like you? Don't worry about it. I got him.
Right.
I got him. Nigga, you owe me now. Yeah. I stopped him from wailing on you. You owe me.
Right.
That's the peaceable one, or Shiloh, that they're talking about.
So it's like, is that time when Christ died?
Once he came.
So
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Since then, we in the last days. Since that time, we've been in the last days. You get the point? This is we in that peaceable time. It hasn't fully been achieved yet, but we in that peaceable time through the foolishness of preaching, where now the Lord is not whooping you like that no more, because you starting to get it right. You move from an F to a C. You ain't an A, but shit, you ain't embarrassing him in the parents teachers conference no more. Yeah, he come in there F. You get a C, nigga. All right, you're okay. I ain't gonna whoop your ass this time. You know you're a little better. You're in the peaceable time now. You could go with that one. Give me Jeremiah 23 and 5 and 6.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch.
Right, he will raise unto David a righteous branch, something that coming out of David. Go ahead.
And a king shall reign and prosper,
mm-hmm.
and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
Right, so now this is unto David, a king coming out of David who will execute judgment and justice in the earth. Of course, any person who's battling the whole Christ in the Old Testament thing, they'll say this is talking about Solomon, right? But the son of David,
Christ is Solomon.
Exactly. Right. Jesus. This is the lineage of Jesus Christ, the son of Isaac, the son of David. You get the point? This is Christ you're talking about. Keep going.
And his days, Judah shall be saved,
mm-hmm.
and Israel shall dwell safely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his name, whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Right? The Lord our righteousness. That's Yahawashi.
Right.
All right.
So could you use verse 8 also to let us know this is Christ?
Let me hear you.
I'll go to verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
This is not Solomon.
Right.
You get the point? Remember, Solomon received the kingdom after David went to war to put it together. This is Yahawashi the Christ. This is the peaceable one.
Right.
Will they accept the Apocrypha?
Not sure, sir. The brothers asked me.
Okay, if they consider the Apocrypha part of the Torah, you could use the Apocrypha 2nd Ezra 13. Give me 2nd Ezra 13.
Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 1, sir.
Hold on. Is it 13 or 3? No, hold on. Let's start. Bear with me one after. Okay, you have a few of them, right? You have 2nd Ezra 13. Start at 29.
13 and 29.
Mm-hmm.
Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Right, the day is going to come when the Lord going to start to deliver them who are upon the earth. He's not delivering the earth because the earth does not need delivering. Right. The children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, we need delivering. We need saving. We need to be ripped from the teeth of the animals and put in a safe place. Right? Go ahead.
And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
Right, and he gonna come to the surprise of them that dwell on the earth. Why they surprised? Because their expectation is low. You see, that's all you live saying now. Lower your expectations, you're gonna be right as rain. You lower your expectations, somebody fuck up. I kind of knew you was gonna do it. You didn't. I'm sorry I disappointed you. You didn't actually. You lived up to the expectation. Don't say that though. It helps you, brain. Go ahead.
And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
Right. So as he comes, he's coming in this time where they're going to be fighting each other. The world's war, third world's war, Valley of Jehoshaphat, kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. Right. Keep going.
Verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
And Solomon didn't ascend. Right? This is the Apocrypha before Acts. This is a prophecy of what happened in the end when he came and showed them his wounds. And they all saw him go up into a chariot, which is they saw the cloud. This is the prophecy saying it right here. Now they'll take the Apocrypha, I'll take this. But they somehow find a way to glean the Bible down just to the contents. Yeah, I mean, and that's the only thing they'll accept. Right? Keep going.
And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
And all these nations are going to make war with Yahushua the Christ, because when they hear him talk, they're going to forget they have problems with each other, and they're going to turn all their anger towards him for one reason. Who knows? There's only one reason. That's it. Remember, they say he'll appear to their astonishment. A nigga on a nag? The fuck? Man, turn that howitzer to the sky. That's what's going to happen. Because when they hear this nigga start talking, how dare you say what the hell you saying? You have to be brought down low, nigga. You have to be brought down to meet my expectation. And they're going to try to fight Christ. Go ahead.
But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and building, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
Right. I believe that's it what he mentioned on Yahushua. I don't think it's mentioned to him anywhere else. Hold on. Go to chapter 2, 2nd Ezra chapter 2, and start at 42.
Check 2 and 42, sir.
Yeah.
2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 42. I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Sinai a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of them,
so this here is a vision Ezra is having, that the angel done took him and showed him this thing. This is a vision. This is not a physical place he's in,
right,
but this is a vision he's seeing, a prophecy in the future. Right? Go ahead.
And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature,
mm-hmm,
taller than all the rest,
mm-hmm,
and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marvel at greatly.
Right. So now he was more exalted than everybody who was around him. He stood head and shoulders above everybody, and he was giving everybody crowns,
right,
and he was more worthy of crowns than them, more exalted than them.
Right.
He was King of Kings. He was a king of all the kings. Right? Go ahead.
So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive palms.
Right? These are they that done change their life, that put away the old thing, the mortal stuff, which could be killed, and put on the immortal stuff, which can't be killed. What does that part mean?
More so we I can't put it in the words. Like, we don't sin no more. We follow the law, statutes, and commandments. So we gonna live we don't look at things the way they do, where they can be killed for.
You answer it. Anybody else?
I'm saying we should basically shut ourselves with the world and follow what the Most High taught us to do.
So we're gonna live forever?
Not physically.
So
but from what we would learn as shutting ourselves from the world, we're teaching the next generation to do.
That's where you're going with it. So of course you're not gonna die the death of people in the world. You're going to die.
Right.
George Washington, he's immortal in America.
Right.
That nigga dead, but his face on the side of a mountain.
Right.
His face is on the dollar bill, the honor George Washington monument. What he did was not, normal for their kingdom. And because of it, you have a whole nation of people hundreds of years later that still living and doing what he laid down.
Right.
You put off the immortal clothing, you put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal. Not only will you not die like regular people, but what you establish will not die either.
Right.
You get the point? What you lay down, that's not going to die either, because we follow somebody who is not going to pass either. You get the point? In terms of the life you live and what you're laying down and what you're putting down. The kingdom of Israel endures forever.
Right.
It's not going to ever change into the kingdom of America. Nobody going to change the culture and style to that thing. You get the point? This is an everlasting kingdom because of what is being laid, what is being put down. All right, go ahead.
Then I said unto the angel, what young person is it that crowneth them?
Right, so he watching this and he's like, damn, who the hell is that putting all these crowns on these people? Because you got to know who the hell that is.
Right.
Right, because he have all the power. Right. Go ahead.
And giveth them palms in their hands. So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of God.
It is the who?
It is the Son of God.
It is the who?
It is the Son of God.
Go ahead.
Whom they have confessed in the word. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord.
Right. That's Christ again.
Right.
These is cold prophecies for what happened when he came, when he met the disciples.
Right.
And prophecies for the future. There's another one, I think, where it says the word Christ. Go ahead.
You mentioned Exodus, the book of Exodus.
Melchizedek. I think it's in Exodus, right? Or that's Genesis. Genesis 14 and 16 or 16 or something like that. Right? Give me Melchizedek. I believe there's another mention in the Apocrypha. There's one where they said Jesus, but it's not that one. That Jesus is, I think, referring to Joshua. All right.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I would not take from a thread, even to a shoe latchet.
Oh, did I get Melchizedek? The prince of Salem?
Yeah, come on.
Read that part again, Salakia.
Come on, sir. Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God.
Where's the one he paid tithes to the tithes of all? I think it's in that one. Maybe it's this one too. Where you at, Salakia?
Genesis 14, sir. No, it's not a new chapter.
No, that's it. I think that's. Go ahead.
Hebrews 7.
No. I want it in the Old Testament. It's right there. I think it's right there. We say he paid them tithes of all. Where you at? Genesis 14 and what?
14, verse 18, sir.
Okay.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God.
That's it. To water. Okay. That's it. Right? Melchizedek, the king of Salem, or the king of peace, or the king of Jerusalem, the city of peace. Melchizedek was Christ making an appearance in the Old Testament. Right. He is Melchizedek. Right. That's why the priesthood. Now, after this one, Shapat, you could go to Hebrews. Right. Because we follow after the priesthood of Melchizedek and not the priesthood of Levi. Right. You get the point? So you could use that too. I think there's another one in the Apocrypha. It just escaping me right now. I don't think it's Jesse. I think it's another one. But them two in the Apocrypha is absolutely solid if they'll take that one. Now, somebody who is battling Christ in the Old Testament, you got to find out what the issue is. Not the proof. The issue is something else. Right? So you got to find out exactly what it is. Are they saying Christ never existed? They'll have to prove that. And of course, we had a proof for that shit. Right? Are they saying that he's not the king? Yeah, prove that one. And that one is treasonous too. Right. You can't say Christ is not the king. It's, that's treasonous. Right? You lose your head for that shit. Right. You get the point? So that's where he would go. You gotta find out what's their beef with it. What's their beef with it? Are they looking for the prophecies in the Old Testament? And if so, then they'll have to prove who these ones are talking about. Right? Who else ascended into the clouds? Who they gonna say? Right. You get the point? Who I don't know who they're gonna say. All right. So that's where I would go with it. If you know what I'm saying. All right. Any more? Any questions online, or we good to go?
Sir. No question online.
No, sir. I'm gonna probably do that topic next week. All right. From building on another man's foundation. I wanted to do that tonight. It should be short, but you could just delete it out of the description. All right, I'll probably do that one next week. If there ain't no more questions, we're gonna wrap the class. You all know Passover coming up. You'll go, reserve them hotels. I'm hearing some people crying over the hotels now. I try to tell you, you didn't want to listen. I try to tell you them prices. It's super high. It's super high. You know what I mean? They say J. Cole gonna be there in the city that weekend. Y'all getting Jacob prices. Y'all could have get Command and Junior Hannah prices. But yesterday's price is not today's price. You know what I mean? Y'all better come together like the days of old.
Right.
And bunk up in that hotel room 4-5 deep. Y'all didn't want to do it when the beeps was coming out. Just go reserve your room. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. Niggas doing nigga shit. Calling people time. I'm here and you're crying. Listen, make your decision. Get your knife and fork and eat now. You didn't want to listen then? Shit. I know I got mine. Got mine. I suggest you got yourself one. Got my hotel room. I'm ready, rocking to go. Pass over $200 per person per family. Everybody in the slacking. $200 for every person 17 years and over. Pay a Passover fund. If your brother, you and your wife coming, that's $400. You have a couple kids over 17 years and over. That's add another $4 to that. Pay that thing, man. Command Junior Hannah done booked a whole extensive weekend. A week, really, for you starting Wednesday, man. A ridiculous time. A car down there and going to do that lamb slaughter Wednesday, the 8th, 29th. You're going to do that lamb slaughter the 29th. I think he in North Carolina right now. I think he down there checking out the lambs for you. You know what I mean? Going to be exact good lambs and sheep and cows and everything. And they're going to get slaughtered and butchered and barbecued. And it's going to be outstanding. And then Thursday, you got that tour, man. Captain Nathak and the brothers down there worked out to go and see the largest slave plantation in America, the Stagville Plantation. I mean, hundreds of acres of land. You're going to walk where your forefathers walked and foremothers walked and children whipped and sold. You'll be there, see the cabins that's still there. Listen, they said that the structures are that old where only a certain amount of people could go in due to the weight. You know what I mean? The structure has been there since the 1800s and still standing. The barn, the general showed it in his video, the barn is still up and running and, strong as ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rocking strong as ever and not, they ain't no weakness in it.
Right.
And the woman would tell you that, we built those things.
Right.
You get the point? Like we built it all. All right. Salaki. Then you have that morning we doing the Black Wall Street tour in Durham, right? You're going through that whole Durham had the Black Wall Street. You're going to go through and see what we had. You're going to see what people who like the Pullman workers, not saying they had Pullman workers, but brothers and sisters who, was on that tip, what we was able to build. It's supposed to inspire and let you know this thing is still possible, man. And UPK is the place to do that thing. Right. You get the point? Thursday night, you had an all-black party. I mean, the Durham Armory. We're going to be down there doing that all-black party. Check the ISUPK.com for your tickets. You pay your Passover fee. Guess what? You walked in free, VIP status. You come in. This open to anybody, brothers and sisters in the world as well. You in North Carolina, Durham, Raleigh, Fayetteville, wherever. Once you're in driving distance, come on down to that Durham Armory. You pay at the door. Later you come. You know what's going on. I ain't got to tell you. It's Club UPK. Yeah, man. Club UPK. Right. It's going to be insane. Going to have a full-on rap concert with all the brothers in the school. Captain Tawa, Captain Akkad, Captain Katazar, Korak, Zion, Shah. Forgive me if I name everybody. It's going to be ridiculous. They have a full slew, at least a 2-hour concert that night. Friday, had the kids party at some big old fun park, Adventureland with everything in there. Bring down the kids. They're going to play for 4 hours. Friday night, General Hyman, usual thing, the annual Passover scripture breakdown class. It's going to be Friday night, 7 p.m. And after the class, whether it's 9:30 or 10, you're going to have Command Junior Hannah going to have a live jazz band in that same place where the class is at. They're going to be food and drinks for just a little chill because, of course, Saturday is that big day, 5 p.m., April 1st, Raleigh Convention Center, downtown Raleigh, for the Lord's 54th annual Passover. Give that a hand, man. Give that a hand. That's what we come together for. That's what we come together for. So, we're going to pull that thing together. Y'all come on down, rock it out. And of course, the Sunday, it ain't over. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, 7 p.m. Again, rally down there. I think it's in the Sheraton Hotel, I believe. Some badass room they got. Sunday night, 7 p.m., 7 till midnight. Because, you know, after the unleavened bread, anybody who ever stayed, you know, we'll be getting it in right there Sunday night. Take your time off from your slavery. Passover ain't just Saturday, that Passover, right? That day of Passover, that ain't just it. You had to do the Feast of Unleavened Bread too. Don't just come for the Passover and leave out. You had to stay for that unleavened bread too, because that morning is when they kicked us out of Egypt. And we was moving out. And that's when the sisters had to make that unleavened bread. That's part of the Passover. Don't short yourself, man. Short that slavery. Don't short yourself. A ton of our people, we just like to come for that main event and think that's just it, man. Don't be a halfway ass Israelite, man. Take your time off and honor your people, man. Honor your forefathers. Honor this history that we have. The white man don't take one day off for 4th of July. He shut the whole goddamn thing down. Ain't nobody working. For your 4th of July, your Christmas, your Thanksgiving, whatever it is, man. But let's be better than him. Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Leave rally Monday morning, man. Your job ain't gonna miss you. And if it miss you, you could find another one. With that, pass the class over to Priest and Officer Shapata.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We at the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits. Off limits. They are to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves in the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. In the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew, and it's pronounced by I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give it to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whichever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation.
Purim. Sunday, March 5th, Monday, March 6th.
Purim, the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. Sunday the 5th of March and Monday the 6th of March, 2022. 2023. Salam. You can find us in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 through 31. In the Lord's 54th annual Passover. Wednesday, the 3rd, March the 29th, the lamb slaughter. Thursday, March the 30th, the Black Wall Street tour and the Stagville Plantation tour, the All Black Party, followed with a live concert. Friday, March the 31st, got a kids party at Adventure Land. And later on that night, the scripture breakdown with General Muhammad. Saturday, the Lord's annual, Saturday, April the 1st, Lord's 54th annual Passover at the Raleigh Convention Center. And Sunday, April the 2nd, Feast of Unleavened Bread at the Sheraton Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Slack, so would you like to add anything else?
Obey that 6-month rule. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Take fair warning. Obey that goddamn thing. Pay your tithes. Shut your mouth. Come to the school. Do your 90 days. Do your 6 months. Whatever. Just don't end up in a council before Passover. Please. Just don't do this shit. Go ahead.
Check on social media such as I.S.U.P.K.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If my brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black hairband, and scarf. And with that, I say I might be.
And black pants. Everything black. Yeah, then. Yeah, right. You just get the pants.
You want to spray, sir?
Please, sir.
YAHANNA, which means turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Wadah. Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh. Malak Taba'a. Rapazayah. Hayah. I.S.U.P.K. Kawa. Hayah. Bashemayim. The thunder now. Kal. You walk. Wasalak now. Kabawaf now. Kasalak now. Kabawafi now. Manasaya one. I will shine now. Mayan. Right. Kaya. Laka. Hamalakwa. In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day daily bread. Give us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. So, which means to turn. We'll give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Individual. Madam Shabbat, Michael, Barak,
Yahawashi-Yahawashi-Yahawashi-Brakathum.
Yahya Latam. So, which means to turn. Since you may stand, and Michael. We'll give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Madam Shabbat, Michael, Barak,
Yahawashi-Yahawashi-Yahawashi.
Yahya Latam. Class is dismissed.